This is the OTB Television Network, a service of Capital District Off-Track Betting.
It's Golden Sense in full flight for the wire over flashback, and Golden Sense have won the Santa Ana Derby.
Orb have won the Kentucky Derby. First of the game. Will take charge is surging, and it's a photo finish. It's too close to call.
And Animal Kingdom wins the Dubai World Cup.
Macho Man!
Broadcasting live from the Capital OTB studios, this is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow.
Good morning and welcome to Racing Across America on this Tuesday morning. I almost said Wednesday. I'm getting ready. I'm anxious for the Kentucky Derby to roll around, but it's only Tuesday, and that's fine because Tuesday means a regular visit from Tony Kalo of Finger Lakes. We'll get some of his thoughts on Finger Lakes racing for Tuesday afternoon, and we'll touch on with all the guests, not only today but this week, getting some Derby thoughts as well. We'll see if Tony has a Derby pick a little bit later on. Gary Johnson from Beulah wrapping things up with Gary's visits with us because the Beulah season ending. Not only is the Beulah season ending, Beulah Park itself is closing for good as racing and the racing license has moved to another track, I think about 3 hours away. So this will be the closing week all time for Beulah, which has been open since I believe 1923. So we'll get some thoughts for this afternoon at Beulah from Gary, but we'll also just get some thoughts on the season as well when we talk to him. Similar situation with Michael Chamberlain. It's closing week down at Turf Paradise. So we'll go back, and they had a nice stakes card of Arizona breds on Saturday, and we'll look at one of those races and talk a little bit about that. But we'll also get thoughts for this afternoon and meet highlights as well. Unlike Beulah, Turf Paradise will be back next season, but this is closing week for them. So we'll get some meat highlights, too, from Michael Chamberlain. But Gary Johnson and Michael Chamberlain, again, we'll pick their brain and see if they have some Derby selections as well. Just program note reminder with the early post times on Oaks Day and Derby Day at Churchill Downs. That's going to move up the programming here on the network. So Friday morning, Handicappers Report and Racing Across America both move up an hour. That means the programming will kick off at 8 a.m. Same situation on Saturday as well with the Handicappers Report and down the stretch with Mark Cassano. So keep that in mind. Friday and Saturday, early post times at Churchill Downs will move up the early post time for us here on the network. Both days, Handicappers Report will kick things off at 8 a.m. Do want to give you a heads up on some of the May events coming up, including over the next few days, Derby Week here at Capital OTB, the Clubhouse Racebook online, some of the branches as well. Let me go over some of the events on the May calendar. Thursday night, May 1st, 7 p.m. right down here at the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue in Albany. It will be the Kentucky Derby Seminar. I will be on the panel along with Brian Nadeau of HorsePlayerNow.com. That's 7 p.m. on Thursday, the annual Kentucky Derby Seminar. Oaks Day, obviously, will be a fun day down here at the Clubhouse Racebook, but Kentucky Derby Day, certainly a day you want to head down here and enjoy the festivities. I mentioned earlier there will be a Kentucky Derby bet giveaway. You have to be present to win, so come on down to the Clubhouse Racebook on Derby Day, about 4 p.m. 5 names will be randomly drawn to win a $200 win, place, or show bet on the Kentucky Derby. Those 5 people will also automatically participate in the $1,000 Preakness Day bankroll, but another 45 folks get selected for that Preakness bankroll as well. Have to come on down here to the Clubhouse Racebook to have a chance to win that very nice $200 win, place, or show bet on the Kentucky Derby. So head down this Saturday. Coming up the following Saturday, on May 10th, it is the May edition of the monthly handicapping series here at Capital OTB. The Triple Threat Handicapping Contest, again, will be Saturday, May 10th. Following that up is Preakness Day, and again, there'll be that there'll be that $1,000 bankroll, Preakness Day bankroll. So again, Preakness Day, there's the $1,000 bankroll. Participants selected for that. 50 of them on Kentucky Derby Day. Coming up on Friday, the 23rd, the grand reopening of the Queensbury branch. A couple of Saturdays, the 24th and the 31st, there will be a online Showviver contest. The 30th, Friday the 30th, there'll be an online knockout challenge. And the grand opening of the old Log Inn new Easy Bet location, the end of the month, May 31st. So again, a lot of events online, at the Clubhouse Racebook, or in some of the branches as well in the month of May. And as always, you can go to capitalotb.com and find out the schedule of all of those events and promotions. I mentioned it a little bit earlier on the Handicappers Report. Just do want to update you, though. If you're playing Churchill Downs this afternoon, Marty McGee via Twitter said, even after all the heavy rain the Churchill main track absorbed in the past 24 plus hours, it has been drying out nicely since early this morning. He put this out earlier today, and as one Clocker Stand observer said, it's not very splishy splashy anymore. So it looks like things are drying out nicely. We'll keep our fingers crossed that that continues to work out and the racing holds together nicely for this Tuesday afternoon. It looks like towards the end of the week things will shape up nicely. Again, keep our fingers crossed there too for the Oaks and the Derby itself. Mike Welch tweeted out the Derby favorite California Chrome made his first local appearance just before 7 a.m. this morning, jogging an easy mile the wrong way on the racetrack. He was not wearing his Derby saddle towel because they spelled his name wrong. How do you spell the favorite's name wrong? But California Chrome did get out, stretch his legs over the racetrack. He arrived in Louisville yesterday, a flight with a number of other horses coming in from Southern California. They did arrive in California Chrome out on the track this morning, just getting kind of the feel for it, stretching his legs. Interesting, and I have it linked on Equidaily if you'd like to read the whole thing, but it was interesting. Fox Hill Farms and Rick Porter, prominent owner in the racing game. He's owned a number of good horses over the years. Currently, Normandy Invasion is one he owns and is kind of the center of this because Chad Brown, the trainer, and Rick Porter decided to send Normandy Invasion to the Ali Sheba down at Churchill on Derby weekend. Subsequently, inquiries were made for Rick Porter to get some seats for Derby weekend since he had an entrant in a graded stakes race. But he was informed that he will get no seats as an owner, even though he does have a horse entered into a Grade 2 $300,000 race on Friday. Further, he was informed that he wasn't even getting a ticket to get into the track. He was offered seats for a couple of $100 a pop, but that was not suitable for him to belay him from calling up the track president. And he has a post on his Fox Hill Farms website, and he's obviously a little PO'd about the situation, and it feels that in the end of the post he put up on the website, he says, "What is wrong with this management group? No wonder racing is on the decline. They don't have any regard for the owners, in my opinion." And so Rick Porter does not get some seats doesn't get some freebies to the Oaks Derby weekend down at Churchill Downs, and takes to his website, and it puts together a little complaint here made public, and it talks again about the conversation he had with the track owner that did not result in satisfaction. It seems like for somebody who probably has plenty of money, it seems like maybe a petty complaint. That said, it does seem like you have to treat your owners right. And as he says at the bottom of it, they raised the takeout. The owners aren't getting free seats, so they're showing perhaps some disdain at Churchill for the owners and the bettors, two of the very important components of the racing game. And again, you could go both ways on this, but I think if you enter a horse in one of their graded stakes races, it probably isn't too much to ask that you get a couple of seats at least to the track. So he makes a complaint, and again, it's a longer than I just pulled a couple of sentences out. If you wanted to read the whole thing, I do have it linked on Equidaily this morning. Do want to alert you that I found this very, very funny and interesting. There was a press release put out by Delaware Park. It's entitled, "Jamie Ness is looking forward to a good Delaware Park meet." And they quote, in the press release, trainer Jamie Ness says, "We are looking forward to Delaware. I think we're going to have a pretty good season at Delaware Park. And then he says, I do not have the numbers like I have had in the past. We are focusing more on quality than the quantity. But regardless, I'm sure we are going to do our fair share, et cetera, et cetera. And I bring it up and I say I found it funny and interesting because he said essentially the same thing before the Tampa Bay meet this year. And of course, Jamie Ness has been dominant at Tampa Bay for the last few years, training for Midwest Thoroughbreds mainly. And as I say, coming into Tampa this year, he said essentially the same thing. You know, I don't have the same number of horses. I may not be quite as proficient down there. You know, we're going for quality over quantity, et cetera, et cetera. And so I pulled up the Tampa stats because it's clear that it worked out maybe a little bit differently than that. The Tampa Bay stats currently with a couple of weeks left to go down at Tampa, Jamie Ness, the leading trainer. Jamie Ness, 52 wins. Kathleen O'Connell in second place, 35. So Ness, 52. Kathleen O'Connell, 35. Not only is he a leader, he's the clear leader. So I'm bringing that up again. If you happen to read that Delaware Park press release and you play Delaware Park this summer, pay attention to Jamie Ness, regardless of what he says, because as I say, he said virtually the same thing before the Tampa Bay meet, and it didn't quite work out that way. He's still very, very good down at Tampa. The Asmussen PETA story has bubbled up a little bit, maybe not as much as I thought it would, but we're now getting into the stretch run the last 4 days before the Derby. We'll see. There have been some pieces out there in various newspapers talking about Steve Asmussen, his involvement in that PETA video that was brought forth by the New York Times, probably, what are we talking, a month or so ago now. And again, some of the comments are also wondering how NBC will address it over the weekend. We'll have yet to see that. But Andy Beyer has addressed it in a column over the past 24 hours, titled in the Daily Racing Form, Asmussen Forced to Shoulder Industry's Problem. And again, just an interesting take. Also, always interesting to read what Beyer has to say. But it seems like his take is essentially, you know, you look at the Asmussen video, and certainly Assistant Scott Blasi, everybody agrees, profane, and it was a little bit upsetting, certainly the way he presented himself. But Beyer goes down and says, you know what, but a lot of these things are legal. Virtually everything that was done in the video was legal. So there's a bigger problem to be addressed here. So to make Asmussen the scapegoat just isn't fair. And Beyer winds up saying it is wrong to characterize Asmussen as a bad apple. It is unfair to single him out for stigmatization, and it was thoroughly disingenuous for Phipps to say, Ogden Phipps, the president of the Jockey Club, for him to say, his presence and participation in the Kentucky Oaks and the Derby would indicate that it's just business as usual in the thoroughbred industry. And Beyer wraps up by saying, throughout the industry, the indiscriminate use of drugs is business as usual. So the Beyer article isn't necessarily giving Asmussen a pass, but it's saying this: the question of the overuse of medications in the industry is much broader than should be put on this guy's shoulders to take on alone. So again, an interesting take on that PETA Asmussen issue from Beyer. Again, I have that linked on Equidaily as well. But it will be, as I say, interesting as well to see going forward how things play out vis-a-vis this PETA video and Steve Asmussen, with a couple of good participants in both the Oaks and the Derby. So there will be some attention paid to that, no question. All right, we're going to head to a break. Before we do that, just want to talk a little bit about, and we'll watch while I'm talking, wanted to go back to a race Sunday in France, and it's notable because it was the season debut of Trev. Trev, the winner of the Arc de Triomphe last year as only a 3-year-old filly, came in 4 for 4 and won the Arc last year. Again, this was her seasonal debut, the Grade 1 Prix Gannet at Longchamp. And on the rail, you are seeing both Cirrus d'Aigle and Trev. And Trev, I believe, is on the outside here, and it's a really incredible stretch-long duel. Cirrus d'Aigle is an 8-year-old, kind of a world traveler at the highest level of the game. And really, boy, they put on a ding-dong battle here, but Cirrus d'Aigle pulls just ahead at the wire. first defeat on the resume of Trev. The follow-up is there was an article in one of the European papers this morning that they probably aren't going to meet in the near future. It may happen again, but the subsequent plans, Siristag will head to the Coronation Cup at Epsom in June. Meanwhile, Trev's next start is going to be potentially the Prince of Wales's Stakes at Royal Ascot. So coming out of this, they're not necessarily going to face again, at least for a while. But boy, at Longchamp on Sunday, a couple of the real world-class runners, including, as noted, last year's ARC winner, Trev, in her seasonal debut. You know, it ran second, but no shame there. That was a pretty good effort. So we'll have to keep our eyes on those two going forward in the European season. All right, we will take our first break. When we come back, we'll get some thoughts on Finger Lakes for this afternoon from Tony Kalo. Please stay tuned.
Missed one of our TV shows? No worries. Now you can catch all your favorite programs online. Simply log on to CapitalOTB.com and click on the YouTube link at the bottom of the homepage. And look for our new podcast coming soon. CapitalOTB.com. Log on today.
The Capital OTB Handicapping Challenge Series is back. That's right. The 2014 Capital OTB Handicapping Challenge Series is back, and it's your chance to win thousands in cash and prizes, and a seat at the 2015 Handicapping Championship in Las Vegas. This month's contest is the Triple Threat on May 10th. So sign up today, online at CapitalOTB.com, or stop in at the Clubhouse Racebook.
The future of online betting is here, and only at the all-new CapitalOTBBet.com. With a newly designed and engineered internet wagering platform, enhanced video streaming, additional funding options, and 3 new individual wagering opportunities, CapitalOTBBet.com delivers a state-of-the-art wagering experience found nowhere else in horse racing. Combine that with our all-new mobile website. You have 2 of the most powerful, innovative, and advanced wagering platforms available today. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today.
It's called the fastest 2 minutes in sports, and the tradition continues Saturday, May 3rd with the 140th running of the Kentucky Derby. If you can't make it to the Clubhouse Racebook in Albany, you can still be a part of the action by visiting one of our many Easy Bet or branch locations conveniently located throughout upstate New York. For a complete list of our Easy Bet and branch locations, log on to CapitalOTB.com. Capital OTB and CapitalOTBBet.com. The most convenient ways to wager on all the Triple Crown races.
I'm Anthony Mormino. Join me weekdays at 9 for the Handicappers Report. We'll handicap the top tracks across the country and help you prepare for the day in racing. That's the Handicappers Report, weekdays at 9, only on the OTB TV network.
Okay. Welcome back to the Handicappers Report on this Tuesday morning. Always happy to be joined by Tony Kalo from the Finger Lakes. Good morning, Tony.
Seth, how are you, buddy?
Very good. We're into Derby week, and before we wrap up, I'm going to see if you have something sly for us on Derby Oaks weekend. But in the meantime, I want to get some thoughts on Finger Lakes for this afternoon. If folks are playing Finger Lakes today, what's the weather look like?
Well, the rain just started to come down shortly after 9:15, and it's not heavy, but it is coming down slightly, and we'll have to just kind of keep a close eye on it. I was out there this morning, and the track was fast, but you never know with Western New York. The weather could change real quickly, and it is starting to drizzle just a little bit.
All right, we'll keep our eyes on that as the day progresses. And it looks like, is today the first two-turn race of the meet?
No, we've already had one. I believe we had one on, I think it was last Tuesday in the opener, Poopeg's Baby.
Oh, okay, there you go, familiar name.
Yeah, Jimmy Wright had a horse that had been running at Tampa with some recency, and backed both the horses. LC Sleepy ran second. It's a great angle early in the meet, especially in the 6 furlong races and longer, which are very limited at this time, but find horses with some recent form, and it could provide a winning way.
And let me ask you that. I mean, this time of year, the 4.5 furlong races are the specialty up there, at least for the first couple of weeks, it seems like. Do quick races like that present a little bit of a challenge for you?
They do, especially not just from a handicapping standpoint, but even a race calling standpoint. It's just really hard to establish a rhythm. It's an all-out go to the turn, and before you know it, they're at the quarter pole, and it doesn't let me get into a rhythm that I feel comfortable with, because it's just not a distance that you call a lot as an announcer.
Yeah, I can imagine because, again, as you say, there is a certain rhythm coming out of the gate. You give that call, and then at some point you string out the whole field, and then points along the track, you probably do have that a set way of announcing. And again, the 4.5 furlongs is a little bit of an aberration, so I was curious to know that. All right, Tony, which races you want to look at this afternoon?
We're going to go with the 2nd, the 5th, and the 7th, I believe.
All right, let me shift over and set you up for race number 2, and that one is a calendar condition claimer this afternoon. $5,000 tags, fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and up. And this one, they're going 5 furlongs. What were your thoughts in the 2nd?
Well, my thoughts on the 2nd was I was looking at the morning lines, and I was going for a price angle here. Obviously, the 2 is probably the horse to beat with some recency, but those are some easier races at Turf Paradise, and it's not like she's getting the job done. She does like to win races 8 for 45, but I thought at 7 to 5 I was going to look somewhere else, and I thought 5 furlongs being the key. That the 1 was the speed of the speed, and she's the one to take a chance with the 6 to 1. I got a feeling she'll probably be the second choice or so by the time we go to post. There is some cause for concern with only 3 published works. It's not really an angle I like. I would like to see some more activity in the morning, maybe some 4 or 5 furlong moves before the debut run. But I know she's fast. I think she's the quickest. And at 6 to 1, I'm going to take a chance. And Oscar Gomez is off to a great start. So let's get Chit-Chat Cat a little bit of a look in race 2, trying to upset the big favorite, number 2, Raisin of the Light.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that at all. I mean, this time of the year with horses coming off of layoffs and ship-ins from venues like Turf Paradise where you don't quite know how the horses stack up, it's worth maybe shopping around a little bit and trying to find some prices in some of these races. So we'll see how that works out in the 2nd. The 5th today, another 5 claimer. This one a non-winner's a 3 lifetime condition, 3-year-olds and up. They're going 5.5 in race 5. Your thoughts?
All right, my thoughts are now, I don't have confirmation on this, but I have heard a rumor that the 2 is scratched, but I do not have confirmation. So with that assumption, I was going to try to beat this horse anyway. My top selection is the 5, Baby Butterscotch. I'm a big fan of Calder horses. I've seen Calder horses do well, especially in California when they get under the training tutelage of Jerry Hollendorfer. To me, it just seems like the foundation at Calder is the track's just heavier. And when I see a horse win for $16,000 N2L at Calder going 6 furlongs, and now the horse gets to go 5.5. Last time had a sluggish start, made a nice strong move. The horse that beat her was coming in from New York. I think Baby Butterscotch is a good play at 6 to 1. The connections are off to a great start. Sal's our leading trainer, thanks to owner Mark Valentine. They have been jamming machines this year, running horses at lower levels than where they have been in the past. And I think Baby Butterscotch has got a big look. We're going to get some speed with the outside horse and Treble Maker, and the price is just too enticing for me to pass up. If this horse is good enough to win for 16 N2L at Calder, I think 5,000 N3L at Finger Lakes 6 to 1 looks like a gift to me. Yeah,
and if that 6 to 1 holds up, I agree totally. And it won't shock me because this horse went up to Finger Lakes last time, and we're getting to that point in the calendar now where horses are making their second starts already at the meet. But went off at 8 to 5 that day, ran 3rd, and that made me just enough for folks to ignore this horse a little bit. But I've said it before, a lot of times horses show up at a new track, and they just need a start to kind of get an education over the strip. And that last race looks a little bit like the case for Baby Butterscotch.
I totally agree with you. I've seen it over the years here at Finger Lakes. And let's face it, 4.5 furlongs isn't her cup of tea. I mean, when she wins at 6 at Calder, that tells me she wants added real estate. She gets a whole extra furlong this afternoon, and I think she's worth a look. Even if she goes off at 3 to 1, I think she would be worth a play.
And that's a great point you made. As we get another week or two into the meet, and some of these horses are coming back again, the early part of the meet specializes a lot in those 4.5 furlong races, which are not necessarily the bailiwick of a lot of these horses, but it provides a little fitness for them. So there may be some darkened form on some of these horses at those 4.5 furlong races that they will progress forward from as they stretch out a little bit. That's worth folks keeping in mind.
And the more I look at this race, there's ample speed. Troublemaker, Tuscan Treasure, Derby Watch. The bottom horse may be not quite as quick as them, but she likes to be forwardly placed. I'm really, really liking the 5 more and more as I look at it.
All right, and let's go look out finally at race number 7 this afternoon. It's an allowance, non-winners of 2 lifetime, fillies and mares 3-year-olds and up. And again, we're stretching out to a couple of turns, going a mile.
Yep, going to go a mile, and I'm going to give the 1 a little bit of an edge. She's 5-2 with Wilfredo, My Lucky Lou. 4 consecutive solid efforts. Nothing to complain about in her most recent 4 races. And I just think she's going to prove to be the one to beat. Very Precious was defeated by Promise Me Forever. Michonne was able to beat Promise Me Forever when they ran up against Fast and Strong, and that's a good race. Fast and Strong came back yesterday, won an allowance race, becoming the first 2-time winner of the early season. And I think 2, 3, and 4 are kind of equal, and I'm hoping the 1's better. She's my top selection. She's got plenty of foundation, and if she takes to the track, she's probably the horse to beat.
Very good. All right, and Tony, as I said, asking everybody this week, we are getting to that time of year where all horse players salivate. We're heading into the Kentucky Derby. I wonder, obviously post positions aren't drawn yet, won't necessarily lock you in, but I wonder if you're leaning towards anybody right now.
Well, here's my theory, and I want to throw the disclaimer out there. I'm in one of the biggest slumps of my life. My handicapping's been good. My gambling has been pathetic. In fact, I have affectionately nicknamed myself Schleprock of late, and so that's being thrown out there, Seth. So I went 2 for 3 last week on your show, and maybe today we'll wake some runners up again. But I got to throw it out there. I seem to be 3 out of 4, 2 out of 3, 4 out of 5 in everything I play these days, but. With the Kentucky Derby in mind, it's hard for me to pick California Chrome. He's going to be the favorite. He hasn't stepped foot on Churchill. In fact, he might have got there yesterday or the day before, but he doesn't have any published workouts. That's an angle that I'm not really fond of. He has this race to me with California Chrome has the look of Snow Chief and Ferdinand written all over it. California Chrome, Snow Chief, Opportunities, Ferdinand. I see Opportunity running a big, big race. A couple of impressive drills over the racetrack. And, Santa Anita's been forwardly placed throughout the whole course of the season this year. I watched the replay the other day, and I know California Chrome was letting up at the wire, but Opportunity had a very nice stride working in the late stages, a couple of drills over the racetrack. It just shapes up Ferdinand and Snow Chief to me, and Opportunity is probably my horse. I look at Wicked Strong and Candy Boy as other players. But Opportunity is right now the horse I'm leaning on.
Yeah, and Opportunity to me is also interesting because I think that race last time out behind California Chrome was interesting in that on points he was already going to get in. So, did Bob Baffert have this one cranked up, or was it just kind of, hey, let's go out and get out of the Santa Anita Derby what we need to move forward in the next start? So I agree, he is very, very interesting. And based on that scenario, the point scenario, he was already in, regardless of what happened in the Santa Anita Derby.
And I was reading an old article. I read an article I think last week, and I think it was Mel Studi who the interview was geared towards. And he remembers back in the day, obviously when he had Snow Chief and Ferdinand, and he said Charlie Whittingham looked at him and told him, "Let me tell you one thing: if you're taking a horse to the Derby, you better make sure to get there early, get there plenty of time." And that's been my knock on California Chrome. And besides, I think the horse has distance limitations. Now, granted, if he draws a convenient outside post, it could be Big Brown all over again. But, I'm a horse player. I'm a gambler, and I'm always looking to try to beat the favorite. And perhaps Opportunity gives us a good chance.
Yeah, I hear you. And I said it earlier on the handicapping show. California Chrome is very interesting in that all the pundits are putting him at the top of the list, but everybody's also saying when it comes down to the betting, a lot of folks are saying, I'm going to take a shot against, and I'm in that group as well. I think California Chrome could turn out to be, as you say, a Big Brown type, just the best of this generation, but there are some question marks for me to take a little bit of a shot against. Opportunity certainly will be in my mix. Tony,
I know Art Sherman back from my days in announcing it in Northern California. And he was always a nice man to me, always had good things to say. And, if the horse wins, I'm going to be extremely happy for him. But it's just my nature. I've got to beat the favorite, and I've got to get a little bit of value.
No, I hear you, and I agree about Art Sherman. He's certainly, in the days leading up, he is going to be one of the more interesting stories, the human interest stories of the Derby.
I think Art should have been a car salesman, though, because I've never seen a guy who can talk out of the side of his mouth the way he can.
Isn't that part of being a trainer, though? I mean, let's be honest.
Literally, you got to watch the man speak. He's a great guy. Like I said, he's a class act, but it's just funny. He's got these words that come out of the side of his mouth. It's pretty classic.
All right, Tony, we certainly appreciate the visit, as always. Good luck this afternoon and with the Derby, and we'll talk to you again next week.
All right, guys, and fans, don't forget we've got that pick 5. We're trying to promote it a little bit this season. It starts in race 3. We got nearly 7,000 in the pool yesterday. Hopefully we can start improving on that number.
That's a 50-cent bet?
It's a 50-cent bet, and it's still in the midst. I'm trying to work with management a little bit to maybe possibly get it into a different time slot and work on a couple things perhaps to carry over. But, right now, the way it stands, it pays out every day. But, I'll keep you updated. Hopefully we can get it where we get a carryover, and maybe on a Monday or Tuesday we could get a nice pull into it.
All right. We'll keep talking about it as well. Tony, again, appreciate the visit. Talk to you next week.
Sounds great, Seth.
Tony Kalo from the Finger Lakes. We'll take our next break. When we come back, Gary Johnson from Beulah Park, as Beulah gets ready not only to wrap up their meet, but to wrap up the all-time history of Beulah Park. We'll talk with Gary right after this.
The future of online betting is here, and only at the all-new CapitalOTBBet.com. CapitalOTBBet.com delivers a state-of-the-art wagering experience found nowhere else in horse racing. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today.
Fascinated by the world of horse racing? Interested in honing your handicapping skills? Class is in session. Night school, Monday nights. Easy to access online. It's free, interactive, and informative for the casual and serious race fan. Horse Player Now Buzz. Live horses to watch emailed to you daily. Our eyes, your prize. Night School in the Buzz. Visit horseplayernow.com for details.
Each morning on the OTB TV network, you get the very best in horse racing programming. Weekdays begin with the Handicappers Report, where professional handicappers share their selections and analysis of the day's racing. Followed by Racing Across America, a daily conversation with racing personalities from around the country. Saturdays include Down the Stretch, where Mark Casano speaks with the biggest names in racing. And Sunday mornings, it's Loose on the Lead, where Steve Bick and I offer news and a unique lineup of weekly guests. All here on the OTB TV network.
Funding your Capital OTB bet account is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Easy Money. Clearly the fastest and easiest method of depositing funds into your account. Make deposits or withdrawals in just minutes. 2. Green Dot Money Pack. Gives you instant access to your funds. Green Dot Money Packs are available at thousands of retailers nationwide. And 3. MasterCard Visa. Simply click on the link from the funding page, enter your account information, and fund your account. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today.
It's called the fastest 2 minutes in sports, and the tradition continues Saturday, May 3rd with the 140th running of the Kentucky Derby. And there's only one place to watch it, the Clubhouse Racebook. To be a part of the excitement, reserve your seat today by calling 446-4010.
Welcome back to Racing Across America. Always happy to be joined by Gary Johnson of Beulah Park. Good morning, Gary.
Good morning, Seth.
I want to remind people they can find Gary's selections on the Beulah Park website every racing day, and those racing days are winding down. We'll talk a little bit about that as we wrap up some looks at this afternoon. Gary, if people are playing Beulah this afternoon, what's the weather look like?
The weather, actually, today's clearing up. Yesterday we had a lot of rain and a very, very sloppy track. Weather's going to be in the 70s, but I'm going to anticipate still a little bit of a off-track, slow track, or muddy track, however you want to call it, but that's the way it's going to be, but it's going to be warm.
We like the temperature, no question about it, because last few days up here in upstate New York, not only wet weather, but cool as well. So we're ready for some of that warm weather ourselves. And typically it seems like what you have one day, we get the next. So we'll keep our fingers crossed. All right, Gary, let's take a look at a couple of 3 races for this afternoon at Beulah before, as I say, moving on to a broader picture of Beulah wrapping things up. And also, I want to get some Derby thoughts from you. But the opener at Beulah this afternoon, a maiden claimer, $2,500 tags, 5.5 furlongs. Your thoughts on the opener?
Yeah, I mean, we're talking 2,500 maidens, race number 1. I'm going to go with a 3-horse, One Lucky Duck. I think the horse will be a standout here. It's been a clear second last couple times, chasing runaway winners and beating the rest of the field pretty easy. I mean, to tell you the truth, we got a morning line of the 4-horse Buckeye Cruiser at 4-5. Come on, you ain't going to get a first-time starter to run and run it for 2,500, or at least I don't think you are. So I just got to say the 3, One Lucky Duck will probably be long, long gone in here. And actually looking for a cold exacta here, I was going to put the 5-inch Dream Mat, which is going to be a big price. And, with these short fields, it looks like the gimmicks might be the play. But I'm going to try a 3-5 exacta.
Sounds good. We like it. And let's move on to race number 2. And I'm just moving my tablet here to the second race. Second race is a state-bred calendar condition claimer, $5,000 tags. They're going to go 6 furlongs. Your thoughts in the second?
I think the 1-horse Canvas Court is a mortal cinch. I've been looking at this race. I can't even determine who would lay second to this horse. There's absolutely no speed. This mare has speed, has the rail. I can't even see who will be second early. So I'm just saying this horse will be a standout and go to lead and win. All
right, so maybe one to single out in the picks in here. And third race today, another calendar condition claimer. Again, we're down at the $2,500 level. These are fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and up. They're going to go 1.70 miles.
Yeah, here's a race where the 5-horse She's Off to Lunch really was pretty impressive last time going short. Stretches out to a route, Edgar Picard. I think the horse will go the lead. And the horse should be a repeat winner with the 3 Whisper Lake. It seems to have 3 seconds in a row, probably going to run second. So looking for a 5-3 cold exacta in here.
All right, and 5-3-8, you say?
5-3 cold. I don't even know about third. I can't mind all.
Sounds good. 5-3 exacta in here. And Gary, as noted, we're winding things up. Only a few days left in this Beulah meet, and historically, it's the last Beulah meet as the license has been shifted to another racetrack about 3 hours away. Just want to get your thoughts. Before we talk broadly about the history of Beulah, let's just focus a little bit on this meet. You mentioned Edgar Picard a moment ago. We've talked about him certainly throughout your visits this season, and Charlie Lawson. I pulled up the Equibase stats yesterday so far in the Beulah Park season. Boy, Picard and Lawson just running away in the jockey and trainer standings.
That's true, Seth. And, and today will be the 58th racing day, so they've raced 57 days. And the point you're probably looking at is that 60 wins by Charlie Lawson. 8 races a day, you're winning more than 1 a day. And I see purses, he was over 170,000. So I don't know who else got any of that money because these purses aren't very good. So Charlie Lawson really dominated as a trainer. And you mentioned Edgar Picard. He won 88 races, I believe, maybe even 90 now. He won a couple yesterday, and over 280,000 in earnings, and that's in 57 days. And they dominated. I mean, everybody else kind of looks like they're racing for second, and they've had huge meets for a very, very small meet that, the purses aren't very good. So these are the 2 guys that took all the money out of there.
Yeah, absolutely, and really, really impressive because, again, as I say, there were a couple of names that you brought up plenty of times during your visits with us, but it was still a little mind-boggling when I pulled up the stats to see how far away they pulled from the rest of the field. Do you know where those guys are going to head after the Beulah meet closes down?
Charlie Lawson and Edgar are probably going to both go to the Belterra meet. New River Downs down in southern Ohio. They're open. They built a new slot parlor, and they're going to have some really, really nice purses as what happened to Thistledown this year. So they're going to move on to bigger and better things, I'm sure, for as far as money's concerned.
And give us just briefly, before we talk about the history of the place, the future of that license at Beulah. What is happening now next with them?
Well, first of all, Beulah Saturday is the final day. It's the final day of racing. The whole facility will be shut down. There will be no simulcast and no training, no nothing. It's completely being shut down. And as far as their new facility, that will be open at a later date. So Saturday will be history, and the license is going to shift up to Austintown, Ohio, which is right outside of Youngstown, and I believe they're going to open for simulcasting around the beginning of September, and won't be no more race until November 24th, and it'll be called Mahoning Valley. So
and
doing a new name.
Do you know if you're going to be involved?
I don't know. I haven't talked to anyone. I did the Beulah for the last 9 years. And really had some fun. I mean, I actually trained there for a long time, would run horses there. And a couple of the winters I stabled there. And it was more fun than it was making money, but it's was a fun place.
And give us a little bit of that, your thoughts, because again, you were a prominent trainer out there in that area in the 90s and whatnot. And again, we've talked about it before. You've kind of shifted your attention now and bounced around and played the handicapping contest. But talk a little bit about your memories of Beulah Park and maybe what some of the highlights were. And just a few minutes ago, we showed some shots that I pulled up from the internet. It really looks like a nice little facility.
It really is. You know, Beulah built one of the outdoor paddocks at the time, and I don't know what year it was. I'm going to guess the late 80s, early 90s. Built a new paddock, which was like state-of-the-art with trees and outside and the walking rings. And to this day, you can, when you see, like today will be a good day, you'll be able to notice the horses walking outside. And it really is just the old-fashioned where fans can get up close and interact with the trainers or the horses. The jockeys walk on a walkway. I know you got Saratoga. They walk on a walkway to the grandstand. Of course, there's only 10 fans nowadays at Beulah, but back in the day, you know, it was a lot of fun, and they had beer vendors and they had it all there, and the place would fill up. But the grandstand has a door, window. Their windows. There's garage doors. They pull them open when it's nice weather, and that's going back way in the days. To that day, it's still there, and unfortunately, probably the last 20 years, nothing's been upgraded, and you walk in, and if you were there 20 years ago, what you see today is what you've seen then, and that's just the way, you know, the Ohio racing, actually all the tracks until the casinos came in have really struggled.
Yeah, I don't think Beulah's alone, as you say, Ohio, but all other parts of the country as well. Tracks at kind of that level have maybe just been stuck a little bit, and some of them have been lucky enough to participate in some of this expanded gaming over the past 10 years, which has allowed them to maybe upgrade. And that's the case out there, although it's happening in another location. So it's a little bit different, and it's unfortunate. What's the buzz in the area around Beulah Park, you know, from the community at large? Are they sad to see the track go?
Well, I'm sure some of the, you know, a lot of what's happening is, you know, as in horse race, we've had conversations, a lot of the old-timers are either dead or, you know, gone. And the new generation hasn't really stepped up and took it over. So I don't know what kind of the feelings, you know, most of the horsemen actually, you know, a lot of them have made their memories there, live in the area, in the Grove City area there, which is right outside of Columbus. But I'm thinking like a lot of the younger people, they just go about their business and really probably don't even know it's there. They just the way it's been, you know, and we've lost a lot of customers, and it gets kind of sad, you know, because it's you walk in there and really not a whole lot of people there. I mean, 1,500 people is a lot.
Yeah, I pulled up from my website a day or two ago on Equidaily, and if people go to Equidaily, they can still find the link. There was a video from one of the local television channels out there from way back when Eddie Arcaro made a visit to the track, and you could tell the track was full, and it was the days where the guys were dressed up and the women were in dresses themselves. It was a different era, and there's no question about it. The difference was that was the gambling monopoly in those days, and it's completely different all around the country, and so the game has changed, no question about it. So Beulah wrapping things up not only for the meet, but for all time this weekend. So certainly make your last bets out there over the next few days. Gary, before we let you go, asking everybody this week, it is Kentucky Derby weekend. We were talking a little bit during the break, and you said you had some opinions on the Derby, so give them out.
I like that. We're going from Beulah 2,500 maidens to the Kentucky Derby. I'll tell you what, you know, you and I have talked weekly about this Derby, you know, leading up to it. I really haven't had a whole lot of opinion. I kind of jumped on California Chrome a couple weeks ago and jumped on that bandwagon. But I'm going to tell you what, I think he's a standout. I think he might be the real deal, the best horse to run in the last, you know, 10, 15 years. I mean, if he continues to do what he's been doing, I think California Chrome is by far the best here, and you know, I'm looking for a long shot for second. I was looking at Intense Holiday going by some horses, you know, picking up the pieces here late.
Well, currently, and we've got a seminar down here at the Clubhouse Racebook in Albany coming up on Thursday, and I'm on the panel, and I reserve the right to juggle things up, certainly based on post positions, but currently I have it flipped. I have it Intense Holiday over California Chrome. So let's see.
I love your style.
Yeah, let's see if the boxed exacta can get Gary Johnson and Seth Merrill home, because I think there'll be some good value there, as you say. I think Intense Holiday will offer a little bit of value, and it could be a nice play. Gary, as always, we appreciate the visit. And again, you're a handicapping contest player. So certainly if you head up to participate in the Saratoga contest this summer, come on over to the backstretch where we have the set located, and we'll have you on some morning and have you live in person. But I just also want to say it's been great to have you on all season long. We've really appreciated the visits on Tuesday morning. So again, thanks for the visits, and good luck on going forward.
Thanks, Seth. It has been a lot of fun. So I'm looking forward to seeing you at Saratoga.
All right, we'll see you then. Gary Johnson from Beulah Park. We'll take our next break. Michael Chamberlain from Turf Paradise right after this.
Funding your Capital OTB bet account is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Easy Money. Clearly the fastest and easiest method of depositing funds into your account. Make deposits or withdrawals in just minutes. 2. Green Dot Money Pack. Gives you instant access to your funds. Green Dot Money Packs are available at thousands of retailers nationwide. And 3. MasterCard Visa. Simply click on the link from the funding page, enter your account information, and fund your account. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today.
Hey, race fans, head down to the all-new Clubhouse Racebook and get in the game. With live horse racing on more than 250 flat-screen TVs, state-of-the-art wagering terminals, fantastic food and drinks, an amazing Vegas-style atmosphere with seating for nearly 900 of your closest friends. Conveniently located at 711 Central Avenue, right off Exit 5 of I-90 in Albany, the Clubhouse Racebook is the better choice.
Each morning on the OTB TV network, you get the very best in horse racing programming. Weekdays begin with the Handicappers Report, where professional handicappers share their selections and analysis of the day's racing. Followed by Racing Across America, a daily conversation with racing personalities from around the country. Saturdays include Down the Stretch, where Mark Casano speaks with the biggest names in racing. And Sunday mornings, it's Loose on the Lead, where Steve Bick and I offer news and a unique lineup of weekly guests. All here on the OTB TV network.
Wagering at CapitalOTBBet.com is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Capital Bet TV, the fastest and easiest online wagering experience where you can monitor 5 different tracks simultaneously. 2. Capital Bet Express. Its straightforward program layout and interactive handicapping information lets you build your wager quickly and efficiently. And 3. Capital Bet Pro, designed especially for the professional horse player. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today.
Welcome back to Racing Across America. Very happy to be joined now by Michael Chamberlain of Turf Paradise. Good morning, Michael.
Good morning.
Give us an update. If folks are playing this afternoon, what's the weather out your way?
It's going to be sunny and warm, temperature in the low 90. Looking forward to a beautiful Tuesday.
We like that, absolutely. Michael, things are wrapping up this week at Turf Paradise. And before we talk a little bit about that, maybe recap the meet and certainly look at something for this afternoon, did just want to go back to last weekend because there was a nice lineup of stakes races on Saturday for Arizona breds. Wanted to look at the highlight of the afternoon, the Gene Fleming Breeders' Derby for 3-year-old Arizona breds, 1 1/16 on the dirt. We're going to watch the stretch run here. And man, it is a ding-dong battle. The number 8 JP Rocker by a nose as the even money favorite over 43-1. G. Fakir, you can correct me on that pronunciation, but it was Saturday afternoon. Really a very, very fun highlight to the day of stakes action.
It was absolutely a tremendous race. G. Faker came through with a big effort, and we'd kind of been waiting on him to run a race like that because his trainer actually called me up when he started running and said, it's not Fakir, it's Faker. So I said, okay, you got it. That's what it's going to be. So we've been waiting for him to put an effort forth to get him into the winner's circle to run a big race like that, and he did that. Just didn't quite get there because JP Rocker ran a huge race his own self and ran very nicely as the favorite. But that was one of the highlights of the Arizona Breed Day on Saturday. Also, Red Zeus, who won the Gene Fleming Breeders' Derby last year, came back to win on the turf this year for the very popular Connections. The owner, Peggy Hopwood, also bred the horse. So it was really a great day on Saturday, and we had a nice crowd out there, and it was a good celebration of thoroughbred racing in Arizona.
And I mentioned the meet is wrapping up, and I also wanted to mention I found it very interesting as I looked at the entries for tomorrow, Wednesday, the 7th race tomorrow. It is a calendar condition claimer at the 3,000 level, but has a name. It's the Grizzled Veteran for 9-year-olds and up. I found that one very, very interesting.
Yes, it's a race that we're kind of highlighting tomorrow, and actually our general manager and marketing head Vince Francia is going to write up a very nice couple of paragraphs for me to say as the horses are coming out on the track to kind of celebrate these old horses and get them out there on the track and have them run. I think it's going to be a good race. We're really looking forward to that tomorrow.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a field of 9, and as I say again, it's 9 years old and up, and I'm looking at the ages here, 9, 9, 10, 9, 11, 9, 10. So that should be fun. And again, that's tomorrow, 7th. At Turf Paradise. Folks may want to tune in for that as well. Let's look at a couple for this afternoon, though, Mike, and get your thoughts on 2-4 Tuesday afternoon at Turf Paradise. First up, the 6th race, an allowance non-winners of 3 lifetime. These are 3-year-olds and up, going 5.5.
My choice in here is going to be number 3, Najran Breeze, for trainer Robertino Diodoro. This is not your typical Diodoro horse, though. The horse is 12-1 on the morning line. Normally, when you see Robertino Diodoro here, the odds are significantly less than that. But this horse is making the second start off of the most recent layoff. Had run at Santa Anita back in October and also at Fairplex in September in a $50,000 stake race there. Won the $50,000 stake race last summer at Northland Park, the Western Canada Handicap, in what was maybe a freak effort, winning by 12 lengths and just absolutely demolishing a field of 5 there. But in the following race after that, you'll take note that this horse ran with Broadway Empire, who ran a very big effort here last time out and has been sent to Churchill Downs. I think he's going to run this weekend over there in Kentucky. So this horse, maybe not an outright winner, because I think the 8 horse in there is going to be tough also. The horse True Thought, 2 for 2 with Jorge Carreño aboard. But second start off the layoff and with some very good back class and the good connections of Robertino Diodoro. Najran Breeze at 12-1 was a price I could not pass up.
Yeah, 12-1 for a Diodoro horse, certainly that in and of itself becomes very interesting. He wins at a 30% clip, so the odds just don't even reflect his winning percentages. I take it just on that angle alone. All right, let's look out at the 9th race this afternoon at Turf Paradise. The 9th is a maiden claimer for $5,000 tags. These are fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and up, going 5.5.
My choice is going to be number 4, Peach Springs, for trainer Dan McFarland. This horse tried the turf last time out and tried a route, went a mile on the turf and ended up winning 6 out of 7. Probably was not the best conditions for that filly. Had hit the board in 4 of the previous 5, going 6.5 furlongs on the dirt. Now is dropping back in class, maiden claimers 5,000, getting back on the dirt, getting back at a sprint distance, and that 4 or 5 in the money record there, I think, speaks volumes as to the chances of this horse. 4-1 on the morning line here, and I think Peach Springs is the one to take a look at in the grand finale today.
Sounds good. And as I noted, Michael, this is the wrap-up. What's the official last day of the meet?
The last day of the meet will be Sunday, May 4th. We're planning on running the Hasta La Vista that day, our traditional mile and 7/8 turf race. That usually closes out the meet. I will not be there for closing day. I am heading to my summer venue, Vernon Downs, to call the harness races up there, so I'm looking very forward to getting going and doing that. But Derby Day will be my last day, and we'll have Brian DeJong filling in for me on the final day of the season. So looking forward to a very exciting wrap-up to the meet this weekend.
Very good. And we're happy to have you up in our neck of the woods, because Vernon Downs certainly featured on the network regularly, so we will be able to continue to enjoy the dulcet tones of Michael Chamberlain throughout the summer. It's nice, warm summer evenings. We always appreciate that. Before we let you go, and we'll get a Derby selection in a minute, but I just wanted to do a little bit of a meet recap. And I was very pleased to read on the Turf Paradise website, boy, attendance really nice this year, up about 7% going into the last few days, attributable to a lot of the nice promotions and whatnot you had down there, as well as some nice weather that we have talked about. But I thought those attendance figures were very impressive.
Absolutely. We made a point at this meet of trying to get the on-track attendance up. We really increased our social media profile. We have a guy named Mike Skirbo that does a great job on Facebook and on Twitter and making sure that we're on Instagram and all those platforms. And he gets us out there, and people cut out see that on the internet, and they said that looks like a fun place to be, and they come on out to Turf Paradise. So we are very pleased with the increase in the attendance, and looking forward to moving forward next fall and getting Turf Paradise further on the map here in the Phoenix area.
Yeah, I'm always, just as a racing fan, I'm always happy to read things like that. And let's just take a quick look at the human side of things and maybe get some highlights from you. Robertino Diodoro, who we have mentioned plenty during your visits, clearly the leader on the trainer side, almost doubling the wins of the second placer, Jeff Metz. Carreno, the leading jockey. Scott Stevens is in there. Franco, Skylar Whiteshield. But boy, this is one of those meets where maybe it pays to pay a little bit of attention to the owner side, because Silva Racing, clearly the dominant owner out there, 52-23 for the second place owner, Rick Wiest. But on the owner side, as I said again, maybe that was one where you had to pay attention to that line in the past performances. On the human side or beyond, what were a couple of your highlights at the meet?
Well, definitely, Robertino Diodoro's performance this season was just outstanding. I mean, he was certainly, the man for the meet. And actually, one of his horses, LA Weekend, is who I voted for horse of the meet. The horse was basically undefeated, with the only exception being he lost the one big race, the Phoenix Gold Cup, after an unbelievable race because he got challenged every step of the way. He had three different horses run at him before Absolutely Cool finally blew past him. Neil Drysdale sent in a horse here that won the Cotton Fitzsimmons Mile in Fire with Fire. So we had quite a lot of excitement this season at Turf Paradise, and we're very happy the way the season went. As far as the jockeys are concerned, Scott Stevens had a resurgence this year. He was up near the top of the standings for the entire season, which is fantastic to see, because I always like to say, when they build the Turf Paradise Hall of Fame, Scott Stevens is going to be the first cornerstone they lay down to put on that building, wherever it may be, because he is a legend around here, and it's good to see him doing well and continuing his great riding career.
No question about it. Michael, got about 30 seconds left, but we're asking everybody this week, put it on the line. Where are you leaning in the Derby?
If I had to pick one horse right now, I would pick Ride On Curlin to win the Derby, and maybe some combination of Intense Holiday and Candy Boy right behind. I just think there's a ton of speed in this race, and I think you're going to see somebody maybe from a little bit off the pace win it. And I say it again, I am hearkening back to the 2005 Derby that Giacomo won. All that speed just cooked Bellamy Road. He didn't stand a chance off the big performance he put up in the Wood Memorial. Same thing, I think, with California Chrome. The big performance in the Santa Anita Derby, I think he's going to end up getting run past in the stretch. And I look for a horse like Ride On Curlin, maybe too good where his daddy couldn't do it. His daddy ran third in the Derby. Maybe he'll get the roses on Saturday.
Sounds good. All right, Michael, we really appreciate it. Let me take this opportunity to say we've appreciated the visits all season long. We've had a lot of fun, certainly taking a look at Turf Paradise on Tuesdays. As you noted, you'll be moving up right here to our neck of the woods for the summertime to call the races at Vernon. I'm sure that will include some visits to Saratoga during their race meet. And we're right on the backstretch, broadcasting live every morning. So certainly, if you're headed over that way, we expect a call, and we'll invite you over to be on with us live in the morning.
I promise you'll see me this summer. Absolutely. Thank you so much for everything this season.
Thanks a lot. Michael Chamberlain from Turf Paradise. That will wrap things up for Racing Across America for this Tuesday morning. Derby week continues. We'll be here every morning from 10 until 11 a.m., except Friday. Again, let me give you that programming note again. Friday and Saturday, the morning program moves up an hour to 8 a.m. both days because of early post times at Churchill Downs. But Racing Across America on all week long. We'll continue this Derby week. A little earlier, Mike Jarbo and I were on the Handicappers Report. Hopefully we gave you some good info. Enjoy the races this afternoon. Cash some tickets. We'll see you tomorrow morning.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off Track Betting.